God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Amen. I am very proud of my pepper plants in my garden. And they're producing excellently this year. And I picked maybe 50, maybe 60 peppers the other day to pickle, make pickle my peppers through the year. And every year I do this, and I cut peppers, I think they're going to take out my contact or something. I think, why again, Lord? Why again? Well, I didn't even think this year to put on gloves. I just cut the peppers, and I took them in my hands and canned them, and I sealed the jars, and it was very good. I was very excited. I took my wife out for a celebration dinner and have all these cans done. And by halfway through supper, I realized that I couldn't feel my hand. That my hand was like both numb, like asleep, and burning at the same time. And the pain in my hand, a lesser man would have tried to remedy the situation immediately, but not me. But I'll just wait. A better man would have looked up how to stop the hand from burning. And I washed my hands, I used soap and water over and over, and I went to bed. I woke up and it still hurt. And I took my kids to the pool, and it just got worse because it turns out there's oils in hot peppers. And oil and water do not mix very well. And so water does not wash away oil. So it was worse. After swimming in the pool, that thought would make it feel better. My hand felt like it was going to fall off. So I finally just Google searched, and immediately there's 1,000 different things to do. But the one that everyone recommends, the one that's most effective, the one that has sustained change, is to wash your hands, to pour over your hands rubbing alcohol. Because alcohol dissolves oils. Because alcohol dissolves oils. And so it destroyed the oils on my hand. So I immediately poured rubbing alcohol and I felt better. And then I washed with a petroleum-based detergent like Dawn, that really gets the soap in there, the suds there. And it was fine. Everything was fine. But it took a change. It took an agent that would completely change the circumstance. Something that was completely different. Something that would interact in a unique and different way that could actually change the burning of my hand. It's not part of my sermon, that's just advice for your future. No. And I think that's how we encounter God. That God is the one who changes us fundamentally. That God offers to the world a change that we can't offer to ourselves. Sometimes we find the world on fire, and it takes only the power of God, only the majesty, the might, the mercy, the justice of God that can actually change the world we live in. This is the story of Naaman. And I love the story of Naaman. I could talk about it for hours. I won't. I could. I love the story of Naaman because it's everything. It's all of the Old Testament, all of the New Testament, all of the teachings of Jesus in one simple story. Naaman is powerful. He's proud. And he's wealthy. And he lives in a great castle. He lives in a great kingdom. He's second only maybe to the king himself. He's best friends with the king. He has money and servants, and he's the head of an army, of a mighty army. An army so great that it could go down into Israel and destroy the armies of Israel. He could take slaves back to his home as the victor. And everything would be perfect for Naaman in the eyes of the world, except for his own skin, except for his own body. He's been betrayed by the one thing that he can't control. He has leprosy. He has a skin disease that traps him. It traps him in his own pain, it traps him in his own skin, it traps him in his own house. That he can't even interact with his family. The fear being so great that he'd be locked in a room all by himself, waiting that all this power, all this money, all this wealth means nothing if you can't even leave the room. And there's this slave girl, a girl that was taken as a slave, as a captive, because of the wars of Naaman. She's brought into his house to serve his wife. And this little girl, I think of the courage he must have taken for this little slave girl, the hatred she must have had for Naaman, and yet the courage to stand up and say, there is one who works on behalf of God. There is one who can change the unchangeable. There is one who can act in a way that's new and different outside the boundaries of our human experience. And I've seen it through this man Elisha. And she must speak convincingly enough that Naaman's wife goes and tells Naaman. And Naaman is like, look, I'll do anything. I would spend any amount of money to heal myself. And so he goes with his military retinue. He goes in his triumph. It's like the scene when Aladdin comes into the city, right? It's like elephants and trumpets and torchbearers like throwing. It's like the whole circus comes down into Israel. Who's the enemy of Naaman's army? The enemy. And Naaman's friend, the king, sends a note ahead to the king of Israel saying, I'm sending Naaman, who has an incurable disease of leprosy, and I expect that he will cure him. And the king is terrified. The king's like, oh, heck no. This is an act of war. Like, you're going to come in and expect this thing that I can't possibly ever do. And then we're going to be at war again with Syria, who just beat us in the last war. So the king is terrified. And Elisha stands out and says, you don't have the power. You who are water do not have the power to wash away oil, but there's one who is, like rubbing alcohol, who can change the circumstances, who can change the world and sustain them. He says, I believe, I've seen, I know. So Elisha says, send this powerful man to me. And it would have been the basic hospitality to greet Naaman at the door. Naaman, it says, comes with a train of gifts that he's going to give to his prophet in exchange for this cure. It would have been just basic decency to open the door and welcome him in as a guest. But Elisha doesn't even do that. Elisha doesn't recognize your power. I don't recognize your standing in the world. He sends out a slave to meet Naaman in the road. He says, don't even bother knocking on my door. Just go and wash in the Jordan River. And let me tell you, the Jordan is disgusting. I baptized somebody in the Jordan River, and like about a second before I put them all the way under, I realized I should have had someone helping me. I was going to drop them in the Jordan River. And it's terrifying because the Jordan is a very gross river. It's a gross river because it's going on its way down through the desert into the Dead Sea, and it's carrying sediment, and it's carrying minerals, and it's carrying the soil down from the desert. And it's the last little bit before the Dead Sea where nothing can even exist. And Naaman is disgusted. Naaman's like, hey, we have legit nice rivers in Syria. Why? If all I had to do was wash myself, I'll go back there because this is awful. And it takes a servant, right, who again has the courage to stand up and say, Naaman, if it was hard, you would do it. If it was expensive, you would pay for it. If it was complicated, you would figure out a way. And so why not if it's something simple? Why not if it means going down into the muddy creek, down in the desert? Go and do it and see what happens. What do you have to lose? And it's this kind of ritual humbling of Naaman. Naaman has to take off his pride. He has to take off his power. He has to take off his position. He has to take off his clothes. And he climbs into this disgusting river. And he climbs out and nothing's happened. He has to do it 6 more times. Relax. The unthinkable happens. The incurable disease is cured. He comes out. He's gone from this leprosy to a childlike skin. He's come back reborn. And it's the power of God. And I love the story because it's about humbling the powerful. It's of justice. It's also about God's mercy that extends outside the people of Israel. It extends to their enemies. It extends to all the nations of the world. And God's mercy works in unexpected ways. It extends beyond what we imagine it should. It's about pride. It's about humility. It's about courage. And it's about a God who actually has the power to change our circumstance. It's about a God who affects the world and changes the way it is. And I think about those things. I think about the God who has the power to change us. The God who works through mercy. When I was in West Virginia a few weeks ago, I spent time with my friend who's named Ken. Ken is 95 years old, and he raised me like a grandfather. He sat in the pew in front of me in my Episcopal church. Every week of my life he was there. When I was a teenager, he would hire me on the weekends to come to his house to do odd jobs. Ken was a professor of botany. And so a lot of times he'd have me digging up his irises, or replanting his irises. He specialized in moss. He'd be teaching me about mosses in the forest. We'd cut firewood and mow the lawn. And I loved him. I loved him. He's like my grandfather. And so I went back to West Virginia, and I went to Ken's house just to hear his stories. It had been just after the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Y'all remember a few weeks ago's 75th anniversary of D-Day. And I knew Ken had been in the Army, so I was asking him, tell me about your experience. He said he had arrived 7 days after day at Normandy. He told me how his landing boat got stuck on a sandbar and had to out to swim the last little bit. And he thought he was going to drown because his pack was too heavy and he couldn't touch the bottom. And it was hard just to get to the beach. He talked about going through with the army, clearing out the villages of France, and marching into Germany. He had the Bronze Star, and he wasn't interested in the story of the Bronze Star. He said, well, I led the night raid, it was dangerous, and they gave me a medal. He said, but the thing that I've never got a medal for, and the thing that very few people know, and the thing that I'm most proud of in my entire life, the story he never told me, he said, I believe I saved a man's life. So we were clearing out, we just marched into Germany, and we were clearing out buildings, and we were searching the buildings for people, and they brought out a German Nazi officer. And they were going to execute the man right there. They just pulled him out. There's no trial. There's no jury. We found an officer. We're going to execute this man. And maybe rightfully so, as these liberating soldiers are seeing the atrocities of what had happened, as they're living through it in real time and witnessing the destruction. And he said, no one could speak German. No one understood. No one could communicate with this man. He didn't speak English. But Ken had been raised by a German grandmother who spoke to him in German. He said, but I stood in front of our officers, and I spoke to the man, and we found out who he was. I convinced my officers to at least arrest him, to take him and put him on trial, to put him in our prison. So I believe that day I saved a man's life. An enemy's life. So I believe I saved a man's life, and I think it's the best thing I've ever done. So I think it's the holiest thing I've ever done. Maybe it is. We believe holiness is being in the presence of God. And how can we experience God more than through our mercy? That Jesus wasn't killed because he was kind to people. He wasn't killed because he executed God's justice. He was killed because he showed mercy. Right? Jesus walked out of the temple on the Sabbath and saw a man who was suffering with a crippled hand. A man who was suffering. And Jesus said, I see you and I heal you. And the folks were outraged. How dare you heal someone on the Sabbath? How dare you work? How dare you cure on this holy day? It's against our law. It's against the laws we've written down in this book. Have you not read this book that we wrote? And they began that day to plot Jesus' death. And Jesus said, you understand God's justice, but you don't understand God's mercy. And without mercy, you don't understand God's own self. That God's greatest expression of the world is mercy. That Jesus himself would say, I am to show you mercy by my own death, by my own sacrifice. The cross is a symbol to us of God's mercy for our lives. That we understand God primarily through our acts of mercy, through mercy in this world. That Jesus said on the day when he declared himself, on the day when he stood up, on his day beyond all, he said, see, I've heard the cry of the poor. I'm here to raise up the lowly. I've come to set the prisoners free. Right? He said, I've come to rush down and find the people with leprosy who've been pushed out of society. And look at them deep in the eyes and say, I see you and God sees you and I love you. He's come to raise up the people that everyone else wants to forget about. And that is itself the expression of God, the expression of God's mercy. And I think of Ken's story. A story where a man deserves justice. And yet he shows mercy. And saying, maybe this is holy. Maybe this is where God is at. I've been following, and I'm sure you've been seeing stories about immigration. And I think it's apolitical. I don't think it's independent or left or right or conservative or liberal to say there's a humanitarian crisis. That people are suffering. And here's the way I see it. I see that people are leaving their homes for a reason. You don't leave a perfect home that's whole and good and safe. You flee into the night because what's behind you is so much worse than whatever lays in front of you. The people are leaving their homes in Central America. They're leaving their homes all the way to Mexico because of violence, because of poverty, because of fear, because of something that's so traumatic and so scarring and so awful that you're willing to face a long journey ahead without food, without water, without shelter. That you're willing to go through the desert, not knowing if you can even pass each border because something is so awful. And people are coming to the border, and we're seeing in news stories and reports and pictures that it's women and children. Women are coming because they're saying, whatever's behind me, I need to offer something better from the ones I love most. because I'm willing to sacrifice my own life if it meant saving my child. I will sacrifice my own self if it meant to give them 1 second better life. And they're being separated. And children living in what look like prisons, in poorly run prisons. We see pictures of children living on the floors, children being treated in a way that no human being should be treated. So far, it seems like maybe 12 children, maybe a little bit more, have died in our incarceration. Children are dying. And Jesus repeatedly said, I've come to set the prisoners free. I've come to lift up the lowly. I've come to hear the cry of the poor and respond to it. And I think of mercy as Christians, that we advocate and say that mercy is the divine attribute of God. And I wonder if we haven't become like Naaman. I wonder if we haven't become like Naaman. We're powerful, and we're proud, and rich. Not you and I, all of us as America. What if we've become like Naaman? And what if it's gone too far that there's no longer a solution that we can do for ourselves? What if we've come to the end? We've seen our politicians locked in epic battle. We've seen our pundits rattling their sabers at each other, everyone blaming each other, everyone pointing fingers at each other, and yet there are children dying. And what if we come to a place where we say, we have to be healed, but we no longer have the power to do it ourselves? And maybe we have to get down into the Jordan River and cleanse ourselves 7 times. Maybe it's an act of humility. Maybe it's a recognition that we're no longer in charge. But there is one who is. There is one who has power. There is one who has might. There is one who can change in a sustained way our circumstance. A one who, like rubbing alcohol, can dissolve the oil completely and forever, and can see the world as we have it on fire and put it out. Often we say our hearts and prayers are with the people after a tragedy, but sometimes, so often, it feels like a throwaway line. Our hearts and prayers are with these people, and then we'll go and do nothing, and then we'll never change the situation. Right? Our hearts and prayers are with these people who suffer, and let's just keep going on with our day. But I believe in prayer, and I believe our prayer affects change. I believe when Elisha stood in his house and turned towards Naaman and said, I offer my prayers to God, and Naaman will be healed. And I believe there's a possibility and a potential for healing to happen, and it has to happen, because we can't live this way any longer. Because we can't be the nation that locks our children in prison. Even if there's a crisis, and even if we say there has to be some solution where not everyone can just run across the border, sure. But we also don't have to incarcerate our kids as part of our policy, as part of our life. That's not who we are. That's not who any of us are. And like Naaman, I believe it begins with prayer. I think we have to think and offer our prayers for the children, for the mothers of children, who are the least of these in our society today. Where would Jesus be? He'd be there with the mothers and children. Where is the greatest suffering today? It's there with mothers and children. I think we have to first get on our knees and pray for the well-being of those children and those mothers who are escaping something so much worse, who would be willing to put themselves at risk out of such great fear. I think we have to pray for their safety, for their well-being. I think we have to be willing to do something about it. We have to be willing to march our feet, to raise our voice, cast our votes for these children. I think also we have to pray for the guards and for the prisoners, for the prison wardens, and for the people who stood up at one day and said, I want to help protect America, this country that I love. And then they're put into these awful conditions, under-resourced and overstressed from all hours, and they're pushed to the brink maybe of their own sanity and rationality, and they're pushed too far. And that they're at times not able to act with as much compassion. Then maybe it's up to us to pray for those guards as well, to empower them to express compassion, to show mercy, to see the people in their care as human beings worthy of dignity and respect. I think we have to pray for those security forces. I think we have to pray for our politicians too. You know, we pray every week for our politicians, especially around elections. We have special prayers, but every week. And some prayers are longer, where we name those politicians by name, regardless of political affiliation. Because we say, these are the people who lead us, who make decisions that affect the lives of our brothers and sisters. And if wisdom is also a divine attribute, can inspire them to make right decisions. Maybe it's only God who can inspire people to make hard decisions that aren't popular, but that are good and that are just. And maybe that do reveal the mercy of God. And so I think we do need to pray for our politicians to make the right decisions. Maybe even when it goes against their own agenda or their own words. But to look and see pictures of children suffering. To say, I will follow the conscience as God puts it in my heart. I think it's up to us to pray. To pray in a way where we believe in the power and the effect and the change that God can create. A prayer where we say we stand and we pray and we kneel and we pray and we walk and we pray and we close our eyes and pray and we open our eyes and we pray and we drive and we pray and we pray without ceasing until this world is changed closer to heaven on earth. And I think it's up to us. Because I believe the world is on fire right now. And I don't think that we have within ourselves the capacity or the power to change it on our own. But I just want to do this.